Pork chops and cabbage in a mustard cream sauce, done in less than half an hour and keto. What is this magic, you ask me? I'm Urshi, my blog is TwoSleevers.com, and today we're gonna make a really quick stovetop dish. Very few ingredients, but the ones that we are gonna use will hopefully have a lot of flavor. I have turned on my pot. One of the things that I want to show you is that when you're doing cooking in 30 minutes, you have to get all your ingredients together, but you don't necessarily have to have it all prepped ahead of time. Some of the prep you're gonna do as we cook. So I'm heating this pot up, and what I'm going to do is I am going to put a couple tablespoons of oil in here. And while that heats, I'm going to go ahead and chop some of my vegetables. All right, we're gonna start our timer. Let us start with the onions. Okay, for this recipe, I'm gonna use half an onion because I'm trying to keep my carbs low. Now, not all of us count the carbs from vegetables, because if you think about it, the net carbs on veggies that have a lot of fiber are pretty low. We're gonna chop it kind of large-ish, not huge, and then I'm gonna move this aside. I am going to take and put in my pork chops. They're fairly thinnish. They have a little bit of bone in them. All these brown, they're gonna shrink a little bit as they brown, so it's okay that it looks a little bit crowded. I'm gonna chop up some cabbage. Pork chops and cabbage is like a classic New Year's Eve dish, but I don't see why you have to wait until New Year's to have that. Just kind of make a rough chop. You can see it's still pretty large pieces. And that's because the cabbage is going to cook down anyway. And this is about 3 cups-ish of cabbage. You can do more or less if you want. Now notice I haven't touched this. I'm going to let this brown as much as I can let it undisturbed, because what I really want is I want the bottom of the pork chop to get really nice and brown and crispy looking. Okay, about the 5-minute mark, I'm going to flip them. So while this is happening, I will put in a little bit of salt and pepper. So about 160, 165. So I'm going to take this out now, and I'm going to put it on a plate. And meanwhile, I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit so that I don't burn my cabbage. You want a little bit of oil, so if your pork chops haven't rendered enough, just put in a little bit more. And then we're going to put in our onion. Meanwhile, I'm going to cover my pork chops so that they don't dry out and that they can continue to cook a little bit. What you don't want is you don't want raw onion, and you don't want the cabbage overdone, okay? I'm going to put in hands full of cabbage at a time and stir it up. I'm going to salt and pepper this really quick. Turn up the heat as much as it'll go. As long as you're around to stir it, nothing bad is gonna happen to it. What you don't want is you don't want to start steaming quite yet. Okay, it's been about 11 minutes. We're gonna let this cook. This is gonna be an optional but highly recommended ingredient, which is you want some butter on this cabbage. I cooked it in oil initially, but right as it's done, I do like a little bit of melting butter on my cabbage. I am going to chop up a little bit of butter. Like I said, totally optional, but delicious. See, again, don't be concerned about the size of the top or whatever. It's butter. It's gonna be delicious. It's gonna melt. At this point, you want to keep it moving because you want that butter to melt pretty fast. I'm going to take it out into this bowl. And I'm going to put in about 3/4 of a cup of cream in here. 2 tablespoons of mustard. My pan was turned on low because I need a little time to be able to mix all of this. And then I'm going to very slowly put in a little bit of lemon juice, so about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I need this because I need it to be kind of tangy. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt and pepper for it. My mixture is starting to bubble and thicken. This is when my pork chops are going to go back in. And then be sure to pour all this juicy goodness right back in there. You're gonna baste these with the cream sauce, okay? You're just gonna let it cook for a little bit until the sauce thickens. Okay, now keep in mind my pork chops were already cooked. So I really don't have to do much. I just want them to take on the flavor of some of this sauce a bit. So you've got your pork chops, you've got cabbage, and you've got a little bit of sauce. And that took us less than 20 minutes. I'm Urvashi, my blog is TwoSleevers.com, and this is how you make pork chops and cabbage with a mustard cream sauce with very few ingredients, a ton of flavor, and in about 20 minutes, including prep. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching.